The meeting is now in session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, we have Mayor Stone absent, so I will be chairing this evening's meeting. Approval of the agenda, are there any changes or adjustments? Council? I have a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Joe, second by Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4 in favor, none against. The minutes from the June 21st, 2023 regular meeting are in your packet. If everyone had a chance to look at those. And there are no changes or corrections, I'll look for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion by Shallon, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Public open forum. If there's anyone here that would like to speak to the council for anything that's not on the agenda, this would be your chance. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the council? Third and last time, is there anyone here who would like to speak to the council? Okay, our open forum is now closed. We do have one public hearing this evening, so I'm going to close the regular session and open our public hearing. This is the public hearing for the 2023 street improvement project on Lakeview Drive and Sauk Lane. It is now in session. It is the city council's intention that everyone be heard on the subject now before us. Accomplishment of this requires cooperation of all concerned. A sign-up sheet is located on the table in the back of the council chambers. Please sign in if you are here for the public hearing. We will start with a staff presentation, followed by questions of staff, and then a chance for the public. Those who are in favor of the request will be heard first, and those who oppose the request will be heard last. If you wish to be heard, raise your hand. When recognized by the mayor, stand and state your name and address. State your position and comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. No one will be allowed to speak a second time until everyone has had a chance to speak. Address all statements and questions to the mayor. The mayor will then refer any questions that are appropriate to be answered to the proper staff person. While others are speaking, listen to what is being said to avoid repetition. Do not interrupt others speaking while they have the floor. After closure of the public hearing, the city council will deliberate and take action as appropriate. Members of the audience do not make additional comments or participate in the city council's discussion.
Okay, as she said, this is a public hearing on improvement and preliminary assessment was scheduled and advertised to be held today at 6:30 p.m. This is for the improvement of Lakeview Drive and Sauk Lane by a bituminous reclamation, which is taking off the bituminous, doing some curb repair, and then replacing the bituminous. Notices were sent to all abutting property owners of Lakeview and Sauk Lane, informing them of the public hearing. There are 17 individual property owners plus the city. The city has 675 feet of frontage of Hickman Park, which is also included. The notices were sent based on the preliminary assessment cost of $153,890. This amount was spread upon those abutting property owners according to the front footage at 35%, which is our current policy, according to the special assessment policy. As I said, it consists of the removal of existing bituminous, the repair of some curb areas, and then the placement of a base course and wear course of pavement. This is very similar to the recent Hickman Drive project. The front footage calculations were based upon, as you know, this was part of a previous project, so the calculations were already done on the front footage, and that is how those were calculated and just applied against the mailed notice. As you know, I gave you a copy of that assessment roll based on the mailed amount, and then we have since looked at the bids, which you'll be considering later, and so the assessment will likely go down from what was mailed to the adjoining property owners. The project is expected to happen in August and September, or September in that time frame. So yet this year before the winter, and is likely to be along with the 2nd Street, Hickman Drive, perhaps Author's project, probably all come together at the same time. So does anybody have any questions for me on the project?
Any questions?
Okay.
So We will then open it up to the public. If there's anyone here who would like to speak either in favor or opposed, you're welcome to come up to the stand. If there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor or is opposed or needs any questions answered, you can come up to the podium.
Do you have questions? Do you have any questions that you want to ask? No?
No.
Do you have any questions? Yeah, you can just come up to the podium and ask.
I'm not hearing you about that up here, so.
That's fine.
I'll ask a few questions about the assessments.
Okay, can you
Come to
come
the
up to the
microphone.
podium and then please state your name and address too, please?
I'm Rod Grove from here Sauk Center, out on Lakeview Drive, 1219.
Okay,
And I see that the project is expected to close here fall, apparently. I wanted to ask about those of us are on corner lots. How do you assess? Do you assess us, everybody the same? Is so much a foot, whether we go around to the left and right and front? Or do you figure it differently? And I guess I'm feeling that, is it right for the corner lots to carry much more of the assessments than others? When they use that road as much as I do, if not more. So that's my question. I got another one for you, I think. Who decides this project? Is it the council or is it the property owners?
do you want me to wait to address all of your questions, or if there's anything we can
Yeah,
answer as you,
yeah,
okay.
That'd be fine. And if it goes through, then will it be to lift up the present layer of tar and replace it with another asphalt? Or do you consider just resealing the top of it with some kind of sealer that will do the job more inexpensively?
Those three?
Yeah.
Okay. Vicki, I don't know if we addressed the corner lots individually per project, or do we have that included in our assessment policy already?
I'll answer it short. Here so it can be heard. So on the corner lots, we have a couple corner lots because they were on Hickman. And when they were on Hickman, that was their side lot, so they weren't assessed there, anticipating that some future date they'd be assessed on Lakeview. So the ones that were on the corner of Lakeview and Hickman did not have a Hickman assessment, but now they have the Lakeview one. So you only get assessed on, you have your front lot, and then you get 150 free feet on your corner side, which these all were exceeded, so they had no assessment on the corner, on the other side, so.
Okay.
So that you're saying that I wouldn't be assessed on that side?
Right, you only get it on one
On
of the
front
two,
side.
on the front, yeah.
Oh.
And what was the other questions?
See, I guess who's to decide this project?
The city council.
Okay, and then if, would you replace completely redo that road and lift all the existing tar?
Yes,
That's what you do?
it's a
Yes.
full depth reclamation in this project.
Would it be any better to just go to the top? With the
Um,
sealer?
I can have Ben talk about that, but generally with the cracking and stuff that we're seeing there, it's gonna telegraph through if we just cover it up. And so we just take it all out and put new down.
It doesn't expand that much better, I mean, it'll crack, just telling you.
It'll telegraph through from below. Like if it's cracked below, it'll crack on top too. And I'm just, yeah, okay. Look at Ben. Ben T. Am I saying the right thing here? I'm not the engineer. I'm just parroting what they say.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who has questions or would like to speak in opposition or in favor?
In opposition,
Okay,
why does it have to be done?
can you come to the podium and just state your name and your address, please?
Virginia Lyon, 1319 Lakeview Drive. And it's like, why does it have to be done? There isn't that much damage on it. There's a few potholes, but, I mean, I see down there by St. Paul's Church, there's worse streets than ours. Ours has a lot of cracks, they're filled in, there's 2 potholes, I think, I counted 2 potholes, and put some tar in there. But you look around town, and there is a whole lot worse than we have on our street.
Ben, do you want to address how we come up with the lists as far as when we look at
So
which?
for instance, the street she's referring to would be complete reconstruct, so you need to do sewer and water. So that's why we didn't address those streets that have much more severe potholes than what she has. We had that $160,000 budget to work within, so we came up with some streets that would fit that amount of money, and this was one of them, and that's how we landed on doing this street. It was part of the Hickman Drive project.
Yeah.
It got pulled originally from last year, so now we brought it back in since it fit that $160,000 budget that we had to work with.
Does that help answer your question?
Not really, because I think there's a lot of other streets that are a whole lot worse off that could use a retar on them.
I agree. They absolutely could, but
Yeah.
those also need sewer and water, and we don't have the money to pay for those
Yeah.
streets this year. So those streets that are severely potholed, they completely have to be dug out and all the pipe work put in the ground. Where this road, the pipe work underneath is acceptable and can get another 20, 30 years of life out of it, so we only need to touch the surface. The
Exactly,
surface
you know,
doesn't
it's
have
like,
that in it.
Then why spend the money there? Leave it some other projects.
We try to address these as, I would guess, as sparingly with budget concerns, but this money had actually been, we were discussing spending it on the trail. Because we already had it in the budget for this year, then we decided to let's take another look at the roads that we had maybe pushed aside or that needed it this year. And that was kind of at the top of the list, made the most sense with what had already been done on Hickman. So the time frame of those road conditions can be looked at in the future as being of a similar quality and probably end up in, as Ben said, 20 or 30 years getting a full reconstruct where you might only have to do this one time in the life, until that is necessary.
It costs us taxpayers money.
I understand.
I mean, our property taxes have really gone up, and it's ridiculous. It really is.
I appreciate you.
It's a low-traffic area. It's just an inlet and outlet. You go in one side of the block and go out the other side. It's not a well-traveled road. I'm opposed to it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. Without hearing anyone, we will be addressing this later on the agenda, so I'm going to close this public hearing and reconvene the regular session. That brings us to our reports and presentations. City engineer report.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. With a couple of projects that were going on, South Industrial Park project is finally coming to an end here, scheduled for paving hopefully tomorrow and the next day. Hopefully we'll be all basically complete with that project, and we can get that one kind of off the books and be ready for building and whatnot going on in there. So it's been held up a little bit due to some, unfortunately, some breakdowns at the bituminous plant, the subcontractor who was supposed to do that work, so that's why it got delayed a little bit. But that's, my understanding is that was fixed today and it should be back online tomorrow. So that's where that one's at. I'm going to actually jump to Author's Edition on your list here. Author's Edition is going very well. The utilities for the sewer and water are in, storm sewer, and they're putting in services at this point in time for all the lots. Once that's done by about early, mid next week, you'll see a little pause out there, and that pause will be for the small utilities to come in and get the crossings of the roads done. And when that's done, then we'll come back in and start working on the street construction portion of it. So that's kind of that schedule, but it's on track, should be getting completed. We'll wait for the utilities to all get done, all the longitudinal stuff down the sides. And then the last thing will be paving. That project's not slated to be done, well, it's not required to be done until the end of September 29th. Likely will be done before that, but So it's got a ways to go yet, but it's going very well out there. Things are going great, wonderful sandy material, so it's all going really smoothly out there. The Second Street project, there's a little bit of concrete paving that's going on out there. Some of those areas, if you remember, we had some concrete failures. They did some corings. They came out that those cores passed the compaction test, or the compression test, I should say. So now they're going to take those panels where they did those cores, pull those out and redo those, and then we're having paving will be scheduled, could be scheduled as early as the week of the 17th. Now the question is, unfortunately, on the Hickman Drive portion thereof, that portion of the project, there is some utility work that's still being done there. So there is some electric lines that are being undergrounded, moved, and there's also Spectrum is putting in a fiber optic line, actually all the way from Birch over here on Second, all the way up towards Author's Edition. So there's been a little delay on their side in terms of getting geared up to be able to do that work. In particular, getting borings that have to cross the road lined up. And they've finally got that taken care of. However, it's not going to be until the first week of August before they get to that. It would be, at staff, we discussed this, it would be our recommendation to wait on the last paving out there because they will have to pothole that road. And we think it's not in our best interest to have them, pave the road and then have them come back in and dig holes in the road for a brand new road. So unfortunately, it's been a while. I know people are waiting for that last lift to go on, but we think it would be in our best interest to wait until that work is complete. We're suggesting give them a revised completion date for that work until September 15th. Hope that work could be done sooner, possibly even by the end of August, but that gives a little leeway just in case schedules don't work out quite as planned, because we're kind of at the mercy of the other utilities, so we can't really push them too much other than to give a deadline, and we just have to live by it. Our contractor essentially has to live by it, even though they can't control the utilities either. But we thought that was the best interest, and we'd like to offer that for as a recommendation to you, and see if the council concurs that we would let that slide back a little bit further due to those circumstances. So that's kind of where that's at, and I'll look for your input or answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Makes sense to me, and thank you for staying on top of it, Keith.
I guess my one question with the revised date, if we go to September 15th, obviously the sub on this would be right now, as we move into our action item, the low bidder on the Lakeview Sauk Lane project there. Will that September 15th date kind of line up with that project then?
Yeah, that one's for the end of September, so the same paving contractor would actually be doing all three projects, assuming you move forward with the other. So it kind of allows them to get into town and certainly knock all three of them out in all the same area. So it makes some sense, and it all kind of fits from a scheduling perspective.
Okay, just want to see if that would line up with that
Yeah.
schedule, or versus doing this early and then them
Yeah.
driving, running over everything over there.
We are in Authors, if you recall, we're kind of requiring them to come off of Ferry Lake, so all the heavier trucks won't be going over stuff that's already been paved.
Right.
So
Good.
Any other questions? Do we want a general consent to offer to delay?
I'm for it.
Or do we need a motion, Vicki? Okay.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
All right. And if there's nothing else, thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Park Board report.
So the Park Board was scheduled to meet tonight in a rescheduled meeting at 5 p.m. Unfortunately, we did not have a quorum to complete the entire agenda, but we received a presentation from the local Girl Scout troop on a badge project that they're working on for improvements to the dog park. So they were all here in all their green, and we heard their presentation, and they're working with Ben to try to make some improvements, and they'll be doing some fundraising around town to try to make that happen. So there'll be more information coming forward at a later date for that. So Unfortunately, we didn't go through the rest of our agenda.
And then, oh, any questions of Vicki regarding Park Board?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to the EDA report.
The EDA report also met today in their regularly scheduled meeting. They just had some reports on some unfinished business, updates on author's edition, nature energy, the deed inspection for the BDPI grant, and also a hotel update. They had one item of business that requires action tonight of the council, and that's approval of the tax increment payments for August 1st. And that's item 7G, I believe, on your agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about EDA?
No.
Hearing nothing. Thank you, Vicki. That moves us to our action items. Excuse me, action 7A, approve resolution 2023-40, ordering improvement.
This has to do with the public hearing that you just had. This has to do with ordering the improvement of Lakeview Drive and Sauk Lane. If the city does desire to proceed with the improvement, now based on information they received at the public hearing, they should adopt the attached resolution ordering that improvement. That resolution does not adopt the assessment. That would be later on in the year. What it does authorize is next step, which is to award the bid, which was previously authorized, complete the construction contracts, construction in the summer or early fall of 2023, and then we would have the final adoption of the assessment in October of 23 and certification in November, and then that would be paid with property taxes over a period of years to be decided in the assessment hearing at a later date. The one thing about, let's see, that's one other thing on this tonight, if you decide to move forward, if you have any other dates based on, we had September 30th, I think, in this improvement project that we were looking to have a completion. Kind of lines up with what Keith was just talking about, so I don't think we need to make any changes to that. So what we're looking for is to approve the resolution ordering the improvement of Lakeview Drive and Sauk Lane by a full depth reclamation, resolution 23-40.
Okay. Any questions, or would somebody like to?
I guess I do have a question. Just in terms of one of the questions that had come up was just on the cost of some of it. Would this be something that would be able to have some sort of a deferred assessment if a person is of certain income or things like that? Does that apply to this?
Yes, it does. And so how that works is that if you're an elderly, disabled, or of a certain income, then you qualify for a deferred assessment, which means zero interest until some future date when you no longer homestead the property. In different projects, sometimes we see nobody take advantage of that, and in some projects where the population is more elderly, we'll see several people take advantage of it. What it means to the city is we just sit on that until some future date and hold it at 0%, so that's something we would offer. The way it's set up right now is 35% of the cost is assessed to the property owners, 65% is paid by the city, and of course, in that 35% includes our Hickman Park, which we're a property owner of, so then we would actually pay that 35%. So anything on Hickman Park side, we pay 100% of. So it's kind of how that lays out. And that final numbers individually won't be available till after the final bills are in this fall.
Right, because we're not adopting the assessments this evening, just ordering the improvement if we decide to motion that way.
I'll make the motion to approve.
A motion by Diane to approve Resolution 2023-40, ordering the improvement. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Shallon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. 7B, Resolution 2023-41, accepting bid.
We did open bids for this project. We're kind of running it at the same time consecutive as we did the hearing. And it was for Wednesday, June 28th at 11 a.m. We got 5 bids that were received. They were from a range of $123,781 up to $219,060. So the low bidder for the project is Markley Excavating at $123,781. In looking at the bids, you know, he had a lower mobilization fee because he's already working in the area. I think that's probably what really contributed to him being the low bidder. And so this resolution 2023-41 awarding bid for the 2023 street reclamation project for Lakeview Drive and Sauk Lane to Markley Excavating is the resolution.
Yeah.
I guess the one question I have, obviously, I know we estimated off of 153, and, you know, our low bid's 123 and change here. do we recall what that amount was for that piece when we pulled it out of the Second Street Hickman project? Was that where that 153 came from, or do we? Okay. So less than,
Yeah,
Good
Before.
savings.
yeah. All right, is there a motion, a second, or any other questions?
I'll make a motion
I'll
to
second it.
award the bid to low bidder Mark Lee Excavating.
We have a motion by Joe, a second by Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. Resolution 2023-42, authorizing traffic control signs.
We have residents of Manette Court who requested that the city council authorize and purchase the installation of traffic control signs on Manette Drive. These signs to say no outlet or watch for children or both. According to the residents on Manette Court, they say people are coming down Manette Drive, coming around the corner, expecting to be able to be like a frontage road to the freeway.
Oh.
I personally haven't witnessed that, but I'm listening to what the residents there are saying. So what they're requesting is the purchase of and installation of those signs, which is Resolution 2023-42.
We don't happen to have any of these signs in our shop somewhere, do we? None? Okay.
And this would just be a no outlet sign, it looks like in the resolution.
I had no outlet on there. Yeah, I did. He actually asked for both, and then we looked, and I think that no outlet is probably the one
It makes,
that
yeah,
might be more telling the people what they need to hear based on
yeah.
how they're trying to use the road.
I
Where would
agree.
the sign be placed?
Where the arrow shows, which would be just south of the 4th Street, so it's just after the last intersection when you're going down Manette.
Does that give people enough time to react to not drive down there if it's that far? Maybe, never mind.
Typically, they're at an intersection so you don't take that road.
Okay.
Oh, makes sense, though. I see what you were
I
asking.
don't know how effective they are, but it may.
Do we know how much these signs typically cost?
I have to defer to Ben on that. I know that just the no outlet ones, or like the rectangular ones, are generally less money, but
Yeah, it'd probably be, like, if we did the kind on top of the street sign, we'd have to get the longer stem and stuff, probably $250.
Okay.
That's cheap enough.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we do it.
So the option in the description is a watch for children or both, but you're recommending the no outlet.
Yeah,
which is no outlet is what the resolution is
Yep.
for.
Okay.
yep.
So Diane made the motion to install the traffic control sign. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. Approved cigarette license.
We have an application and fee have been submitted by Nathan Smith for Freedom Greens LLC to sell cigarettes at 312 Main Street South. And the action requested to is approve the request for the cigarette license to Freedom Greens LLC.
Okay, any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Joe, second by Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. Approved cannabinoid license.
So an application and fee has been submitted by Freedom Greens LLC for a license to sell cannabinoid products according to city code. This is for the low dosage THC edibles and infused drinks. Freedom Greens is proposing to open this retail store at 312 Main Street South, same as what you just did the cigarette license for. So we're looking to approve the request for a cannabinoid license to Freedom Greens LLC contingent upon the background check.
Okay. Any questions, concerns? Otherwise,
I'll make a motion to approve.
motion by Diane,
I'll second.
second by Joe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. 7F, approve fire relief benefit increase.
Oh.
Sauk Center Fire Relief has
Can I
presented
say
for
something?
approval an amendment to their bylaws to increase the annual benefit. The annual benefit is the amount paid out to retiring firemen times their years of service. The request is for an increase of $100, which would increase it to $2,900 per year. Based on the financial projections, the association will have total assets of $1,113,283 and liabilities of $1,098,916 for a surplus of $14,367. The pension will be funded at 101.3%. This financial projection uses an assumption of a 5% return on investment for the 2023 calendar year. And how this works is they're required to be funded. And this takes the assumption that every single fireman walked out and got paid out in full tomorrow. So you know that that's not realistically what's going to happen. So they are well-funded. So what we're looking tonight is to ratify the bylaw amendment, increasing the annual pension benefit to $2,900 for 2024.
Okay. I know we look at this every couple of years, it feels like, but
It's an annual thing.
is it annual? Okay. If there's no questions,
Motion to approve.
a motion by Diane,
I'll second.
second by Shailen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention.
I would like to say something. Nathan, I know that you served both in the Air Force and the Army. Just wanted to thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Okay.
Sorry, I overspoke before Diane wanted to
That's
say
okay.
that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And our last action item is 7G, approve tax increment financing payments for August 2023.
So we have 3 pay-as-you-go payments becoming due for tax increment economic development projects as follows. TIF 1-12, that's for Felling Trailers. Payment 7 of 18 for $26,244.19. This is for the office complex at Felling Trailers. The second payment is TIF 1-13, that's to Fajera. This is their first payment of 18, so it would be 9 years, 2 semi-annual payments, $4,601.49. And the third one is TIF 114 for Savory Smokehouse, again, payment 1 of 18 for $2,718.08. And the last 2 were under construction at the time of the year that this is calculated, which would be 1/1 of 22, is what the calculation date is. And so in future years, you can expect those amounts to increase. So we're looking to approve the tax increment payments for August 1st, 2023. This is recommended by the EDA.
Okay, any questions, concerns? Is there a motion to approve the TIF payments for August 1st, 2023?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Joe, second by Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business, no new business. So that brings us to the consent agenda. Let me find it here real quick. We have a schedule of claims of unpaid claims, $606,448.54. Paid claims of $170.85 for a total of $606,619.39. Attachment 10B, resolution number 2023-43, accepting contributions of $130.38 from the men's card playing group to the senior center, $200 from Lois Eglund to the senior center, and $500 from the Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, for the DARE program to the police department. We want to acknowledge and thank those members and groups for their contributions. We have a request from Kelly Freeze, DBA The Palmer House, for temporary extension of premise permit in support of The Ranch, grand opening at Eagles Healing Nest with music on July 7th, 2023, in the back parking lots of The Palmer House, Tony Felling, and 510 Art Lab in the afternoon until midnight. A small portion of the sidewalk will be roped off from the steps on the east side to the parking lot. The sidewalk will only be roped off the width of the steps. Also, the Eagles Healing Nest is requesting to close the alley from Highway 71 going west to the Unger Furniture Building for food vendors. And we have a gambling application for exempt permit request from Pumpkins and Monkeys Nursery School for a raffle on October 29th, 2023 at Holy Family. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, is there a second? I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in favor, none against. Informational items.
Just have a couple informational items. You have your charter communications, channel lineup changes, which we get quite often. And then also a reminder that the August scrap metal and e-waste cleanup day is Wednesday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Civic Arena. And also at that same time, we'll be having the hazardous waste, which where the county comes in and they take all your paints, cleaners, poisons, roofing tars, all those kinds of types of hazardous waste, and which is free of charge to our residents. So again, Wednesday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Civic Arena.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right. If there are no questions or any other concerns, Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Shallen, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 4 in favor, none against, meeting adjourned.